It's estimated that nearly 1.5 million people were killed during the Armenian Genocide. The Armenians had lived and had a thriving community in Asia Minor since about 6th century BCE, about 1500 years before the arrival of the Seljuk dynasty. Under the Ottoman Empire, the Armenians lived as second-class citizens under Sharia law. They're permitted to have their worship, they're permitted to have their property in exchange for a special tax. When the Armenian Genocide began in the 1900s, it was predicated on centuries of oppression. Some Armenian land was stolen and given to Muslim immigrants. In other places, there was forced conversion. To be fair, there were some parties within the Ottoman Empire that sought equalization of all people, regardless of religion. This was met with heavy resistance from the more conservative parties, and with the Balkan Wars, this was stopped altogether. With the Ottoman Empire suffering a series of defeats, they feared that the Armenians would seek independence. Ottoman paramilitaries began massacring local populations. In some cases, the Armenians did resist, and the conspiracy grew out of this that there was a widespread rebellion. Although many Armenians fought on the side of the Ottomans during the Balkan Wars, many blamed non-Muslims for the defeats. It was concluded that all non-Muslims were tumors on the empire. When the empire began facing defeats during the First World War, the conspiracy grew that the Armenians were actively plotting against the Ottoman Empire. Many of the Armenian leaders pressed for the populace to remain calm, even stating that justifiable self-defense could lead to escalation. Soon the order came from the Ottoman Empire that all Armenians had to surrender their weapons. In 1915, the war criminal Pasha ordered the arrest of many Armenian intellectuals, as well as blocking all Armenian political parties. He then ordered the deportation of nearly 1.2 million people, who were sent on death marches through the Syrian desert. They are deprived of food and water, they're subjected to massacres and sexual assault. Of these people who were deported, which were mostly women and children, only about 200,000 survived. Many of the bodies were disposed of in rivers, but there were so many bodies that they ended up clogging up the rivers, and explosives were needed to unclog them. This led to pollution of the waters, which led to an epidemic downstream. Nearly 200,000 women and children were forced to convert to Islam. Their loyalty to the empire was closely monitored, and their names, their language, and their culture was entirely eradicated. The abuse of the women was extreme. They're often sold off naked in slave markets. Younger women were often kept in the households as servants, and they're subjected to sexual abuse. For many women, the only means of escape was taking their own life. At the end of the First World War, the British began liberating many of the Armenians